One must have worked on the speakers today or something, because I can actually hear.
Testing. Yeah, me too.
Sir.
Well, here's one. I don't know if it
We don't have to yell it out today. This is a work session agenda, October 20th, 2008. Roll call, Mr. Spears.
Yes, sir. Ms. Baker.
got the number.
Mr. Cox.
Here.
Mr. Dominic. Mr. Epperson. Mr. Escaday.
Here.
Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Lynn. Here. Lynch. Ms. McCulloch.
Here.
Mr. Pearson.
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Thibodeau.
Here.
Have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to rise for the invocation by Mr. Pearson, and we have a special guest, Mr. Justin Dominic, who will lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Son of God, our Father, we come now realizing that we have so much to be thankful for friends and family, for this great country we live in, for all that you've given us that we sometimes seem to be ungrateful. We thank you, Lord, because you have looked beyond our faults and saw our needs. We ask now that you continue to strengthen us and bless us individually and collectively. And we go through this season of elections, regardless of the outcome, let us band together as countrymen and go forth and help this nation to improve and to become the kind of nation we want it to be. We ask that you continue to bless our local leaders as well as our state leaders. Give us extra measures of strength and wisdom so that we can serve you by serving your people. And we pray. Amen.
Man.
Dominic, if you would, please come up here.
Repeat after me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. All right.
Okay, now if you'll just come back up here and take your dad's spot. Good job, son.
I'm good.
Reports.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Just have a few announcements to make, and a couple of the staff members going to come before you and give you some briefings and update. Just want to acknowledge the retirement of Miss Gracie Samuels. She'll be retiring this next Friday after 28 years. She will not be coming before you all, but most of y'all have dealt with Gracie one time or another, and she'll be ending her career and heading to the House. Just want to let you all know that. So we're in transition that position. Ms. Keisha will be taking her place and dealing with the staff and also with you all on occasion. The next thing we have, I'd like to have Mr. Robert Glass to come forward and kind of give you an update on the recent endeavors over at the Mineral Board in Baton Rouge.
Good afternoon. Just want to let y'all know results. I mean, y'all already have heard, but basically we had 9 leases on the docket, totaled up about 53.1 acres. They range from anywhere from $2,812 to $5,612 an acre for a total of $203,138 in bonus money and a quarter royalty. The sale was trending down, was very little competition. There was basically one player. They had two tracks that were in the $15,000 range. Both those were Petrahawk, and there was competition on those 2 leases. They had a couple of others at $12,000, and the rest of them were in the range that, you know, what we leased at. And basically Chesapeake was the only player. And they also had numerous leases with no bids on it because the required amount for bonus and royalty were too high, so no one bid on them. A huge number of them. The city of Shreveport, Bossier Parish, and Bossier City, and the Bossier School Board. So, and it's not just the Haynesville Shale, it is happening in Fort Worth too. All the minimums have dropped down over there. $5,000 is the top deal, where they were paying $25, a month ago. So it's not just here, it's industry wide. And, but we don't have anything coming up on the next sale. I think there is some other local land in Bossier Parish that will be on there, but I think the trend will stay the same. Any questions?
Mr. Escudero.
Robert, I thank you for doing such a good job. It's my understanding that, as in most of the cases, when we lease, the reason we've leased property is because companies have come to us and expressed interest. We didn't go out there plying our wares, so to speak. Is that correct?
I don't bring them to y'all. I don't bring the resolution forward until I've pretty much already presented them with a list of minimum requirements, and once they've agreed to those, then I'll bring it to y'all.
And you're feeling that this thing's really cooled off, in part maybe because natural gas is half of what it was a few months
So,
ago.
I mean, the price has a lot to do with it, and a lot of it has to do with the competition. I think they've got a lot of land out there to drill. They can, it's gonna take them a while to drill it up, and they're gonna lose a lot of leases anyway. But the gas is still there. It's not going anywhere. Price is gonna go back up eventually, once the economy gets humming along pretty good. So, it's not going anywhere.
Well, that's good to know. I would, just as a side note, like to suggest to all of my counterparts that we're in a very good position. We still have land available for the future, and we don't necessarily need the money. And I think probably, regardless of whether interest is shown, we should probably just sit on what we have and what's that old saying? Buy low, sell high. Let's wait till we high next time. We're in no hurry, but I appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Mr. Pearson.
I guess that's where I was going, the last point that Commissioner Escudero, I think you said that you have some property that you'd be going back to the mineral board. And my question is, and you also said that that you think it'll stay, that it's down, and you think that it'll stay down.
I feel it will for a while, mainly because of the price. Normally, this is a time when the price is going up because it's getting to be winter time,
Right.
and it has not gone up yet.
Yeah, well, that's what I was to understand, that as soon as it gets in the dead of winter, when the consumption of natural gas is at its peak, then they'll make more money. And along with the fact that they've got to drop some wells, and they only have so many rigs that they can drop, then they will begin to go back to get, the issue is, to me, is to be patient. And I think that's, because I think it will go back up, and we'll be ready when it goes back up.
Well, we have interest in another few tracks right now. I'm talking with the company, and I will be coming back to y'all to see where we want to put our minimum amount before I go back to them and strike an agreement. So, but that's about the only one really on that I'm dealing with right now.
Anyone else? Thank you, sir.
The next presenter is Mr. Jack Adger. He's going to give you an update on online bidding process that we have to go to.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Mr. President, Commissioners. This year, the legislature passed a law that requires public agencies to provide for online bidding. It does have exemptions for small towns and small parishes, but of course we don't, that doesn't apply to us. So we're working to accomplish that. We have to have that in place by January 1st. The North Louisiana chapter of the National Institute of Government Purchasing, which is an organization of government purchasing professionals, we came together and we have selected a company called BidSync, and we're recommending that to all the government agencies. The theory is if we can all decide as a group what company to use for our online vendor, that those that want to bid will only have to register with one vendor, and it will reduce their cost instead of having to register with several different vendors if different agencies pick different vendors. We looked at 5 vendors. We narrowed it down to this one. They were the easiest to use. They're only going to charge $30 for a 1-year registration, and that provides any agency statewide that is using this service. So any vendor that wants to bid online will only have to pay $30 a year to have access to online bids, and we think that's a great deal for them. There's some other costs that have to do with electronic bid bonds and electronic or digital signatures, but the $30 cost we think is a great cost. And if y'all have any questions about that, I'd be glad to.
I've got Ms. Lynch and Mr. Dominic. Ms. Lynch?
I had a question. Did we look at what NACO offered in the way of online bidding? Because I think they had some resource for counties and parishes to utilize.
No, ma'am, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of that, but I'll go back and look, I'll go back and look at that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
What we did though, we did get the market leaders, and they all came to Shreveport and made presentations, so. I don't think we probably missed anybody that's a major player out there, but I will double check and see what
Okay,
NACO
thank you.
has.
Mr. Dominic?
Is it just for materials and supplies, or is it both?
It is for both construction and materials and supplies. Both 382212 and 382212.1.
Anyone else?
And also, there was another law that was passed this year, limits what information that you can ask for in a construction bid, in a public works bid. And that's also a major piece of legislation. Normally every fall we have the Attorney General's office come up and do a presentation to government agencies that want to attend. He's coming on November 14th. Unfortunately, this is the same day that I believe you have a finance budget meeting. But we will be getting the word out to the special boards, the fire districts, because this affects them as well. Not only the electronic bidding affects them as well too. So, by the way, I forgot to mention that the cost of implementing electronic bids to the government agencies is zero. We don't have to pay anything for that. And we fought hard for that because of the fire districts and the small agencies that are going to be affected by this. That meeting on November 14th is going to be at the Bossier Parish School Board. I believe it's right next to Airline High School in the old Bitsy Bossier Parish Community College building, and that'll be at 9 o'clock on November 14th. The last item I'd like to discuss is that every year the Minority Business Council in the Shreveport Chamber holds a Minority Expo. This year it is on Saturday, November 8th from 11 to 5 p.m. That's the actual expo portion of it. We will be supporting that. Darlene Cooper from Purchasing will be there. We also have representatives from Public Works. I believe that's James Hankins and Althea Page. And then from our Facilities and Maintenance, I believe Laverne Adger will be there. So I just wanted to make you aware of that will be going on this year. It's being held on a Saturday, which is unusual, and I hope it works out good for them. Can I answer any questions for you?
None on the books. You're good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. I'd like to have Mr. Pepper come forward and kind of give you a little briefing on what to expect. We have an open house coming up soon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for having me again. We're very excited to announce that, as I've kind of talked about this periodically as I've come before you over the past month or so, but we do have this Saturday our annual open house and adoption event. While I wasn't present at last year's event, I understand it was a success, and we hope to build on that success. Joining us this year will be the Humane Society of Northwest Louisiana, Robinson's Rescue, Shreveport Police Department, and Shreveport Fire Department. We'll have food and drink for children and adults who come, and as well as jumping, one of those big inflatable jumping things for the children. We'll be adopting animals throughout the day, and we hope it to be kind of another opportunity for us to become the community-based organization that we want to be, and kind of embrace the community, invite them into to come see our operations. So I'm going to be very brief right now, but I just wanted to invite you all to show up if you get an opportunity, and that we're very excited for the event. I can answer any questions if there are any.
And Matt, who's going to be the judges for the competition this year?
We have Commissioner Lynn is going to be one of our judges, and then from the council, Calvin Luster and Joyce Bowman are going to judge, and also Yvonne Mullinax from the Humane Society is going to sit on it, and they're going to be judging a pet costume competition at 1 o'clock to kind of spruce some of our animals that are up for adoption up a little bit. We're going to be dressing them up and parading them through to be judged as the best dressed, and we'll see who gets to take home the winner. So, thank you all.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, man. I had the honor last year of being one of the judges, and that was a spectacle to see. It was really something. Commissioners, I did include for your information a couple of things. I know the meeting, as a reminder, on the 14th, we have the second budget retreat. And I know we have an extraordinary opportunity and challenges we're facing with the employee health plan. So we did invite the consultants to come before you all, maybe 30 minutes before you start, to kind of give you an idea of what we had discussed a couple of weeks ago in cost reduction measures, to kind of give you an idea of what we're trying to do with this and let you know, give you an analysis on the health plan, on what we can expect and how it's going. So for 30 minutes of your time, I think it will be very beneficial to hear what they have to say. Okay. The other item I have for you also, we received a correspondence from the Police Jury Association of Louisiana Incorporated, and there is a resolution they asked us to consider, resolution in support of amendment number 4, and you should find one of these at your station. They appreciate some consideration, and this is just the constitutional changes that was going to occur with respect to the monies that we give in gas tax. So we're trying to get a greater portion of that back, so we're hoping the citizens would support that. But they're asking for a resolution of support. Mr. Pearson, I don't know if you want to say anything else on that one, but that concludes my report as far as correspondence.
I can.
Yes, sir, Mr. Pearson.
Well, first thing, what time is the retreat? Same thing, early in the morning?
Yes, sir. It's going to be at 9 o'clock on the 14th
9 o'clock.
at the same place over in the Swebco Business Center.
Okay. I just want to reiterate how important it is for us to support the Proposition 4. It's a long proposition, and a lot of people may not want to read through it or sift through it to look at it, but in gist, what it does, it raises the cap on what we get on severance tax, what the parish allotment on severance taxes. That's all taxes on oil and gas. It's been $850,000 in the past. It's going up to $2 million, which will be our share. And so we stand to gain an awful lot as a parish as a result of this amendment. There's not any new taxes, any new money, any new anything. It's just a matter of supporting raising the cap on that. The state is still going to get 90% of that money. Right now, they're getting almost 97% of the money. And so they're still going to get a larger portion of the money, but we want to get and want people to understand that it's not anything new and not any taxes. It's just a matter of supporting to releasing the cap on that. And certainly hope that if you know anyone who's printing ballots, or if you're printing a ballot yourself, certainly would be a good idea to include the support of Proposition 4 on that ballot. Thank you very much. Okay. I can't say that?
Oh.
I already did.
Here's hey. Commissioner, one other point. Attorney Grubb just informed me that if we are going to pass a resolution before the actual vote takes place in November, you have to add it to your agenda somehow today, I believe.
We can do it before we leave.
Okay. That concludes my report, sir.
Okay. We still have some other commissioners, but before then, I'd just like to say welcome back, Mr. Grove. Glad to have you back. Speedy recovery. Have Mr. Jenkins, Ms. Lynch. Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think you already touched upon what my concern was, and that was whether or not this could be added to today's agenda.
Okay. Ms. Lynch.
Yeah, we wanted to thank everyone for their support and prayers during my illness. I'm not out the woods. In fact, I was late because I was talking with the doctor's office, and they're going to squeeze me in the morning. So I just solicit your continued prayers. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Pearson, you already said something, right?
I'm through.
You're done. Okay. That's all for you?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right. Communication reports.
Letter from the Supreme Court of Louisiana devising of the order assigning Gene Nichols as Justice of the Peace pro tem for Ward 3 in Blanchard. Letter from George Wilson and Dean Irwin advising of their forthcoming term expiration on the Board of Sewer District 7, wanting to be reappointed.
All right. Old business?
None on the agenda, sir.
New business.
Ordinance 4836 declares certain adjudicated property to be surplus authorized sale. It's out across the parish. This is per the vacant lot dollar program with the city.
I was waiting. Moved by Commissioner,
Second,
Escudero, second by Commissioner Pearson. Any discussion?
just one.
Yes, sir, go
President.
ahead.
I just kind of wanted to know, how do we, the city, buys this to us, and then we support it? Okay, because they get the people who have kept, okay.
And these are, and I need to go ahead and inform the commission, these are ones that they have already verified the affidavits from the surrounding neighbors stating that these people have been maintaining it in excess of a year. And this is the one and only time this is going to be able to be done, because we have a new Act 8919 that's coming into effect. This is Representative Burrell's adjudicated property law, and it's going to do away with their ability to sell it to the adjoining neighbor for $1. So this will be a one-time deal.
Thank you.
Mr. Thibodeau.
I just want to englobo on everything under new business to be moved to Thursday.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Thibodeau, second by Commissioner Jenkins, but we also have a commissioner that was on the board to begin with. So,
I want to ask Mr. Whittington one question. I support you on good. The mineral interest in this property.
They will all be reserved.
Retained. Thank you. Check.
all right, so we have, I guess that would be a secondary, because you already made your motion and it was second.
It just,
You vote on the last motion first.
So,
But one, if I can,
Yes, sir.
I just need to know, where is the property that Fairfield Methodist Church is seeking?
It's right across the street from their church. It's that's a lot they're going to use for additional parking.
You in Globo with everything down to here.
Yeah, it's on Southern.
all right. So to make it clear, we've got an englobo from ordinance 4836 all the way through 4842 or 4843.
4833. 43.
Ms. McCullough, you had a question?
Yes, I wanted to under new, well, I guess under new business, get permission to bring up,
Okay, well, we'll do that. All right, so we got a motion and a second for englobo to move everything to Thursday. Any discussion? If not, please vote. Okay, and that passes. Let's go to
I hit it.
consent agenda, which we really don't have to worry about that. We ain't through yet, Just, okay. Under new business, already had, let's see, Mr. Escade. Okay, if we could ask, get Mr. Escade off the list.
Dominic.
And I've got Mr. Dominic, Ms. McCullough. Mr. Dominic first, for new business.
I'd like to bring up a matter, I'm going to have a motion, expand the agenda regarding accepting the resignation of Huey Bankert from Fire District 7 and to appoint Kevin Stewart to that placement. So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Hold on.
Oh,
Put in the system. Okay.
Mr. Jenkins? There you go. That passes. Okay. Before we hit the other new business, Ms. McCullough, you have some new business before we get to the other ordinance? Well,
Yes, I wanted to bring up a matter in reference to expanding the agenda to for board appointments. Make a motion to expand it.
yes, ma'am. Which board and what appointment?
Sewer District Number 7, reappointment of these, Mr. George Wilson and Dean Irwin.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for reappointment of Sewer District 7. Ms. Vita, tell us when you're ready.
Dean Irwin.
Okay, please vote. And that passes.
To get all the new business
Yep.
done, and then take it one by one?
Yeah.
Next, or I have one.
Okay. Mr. Go ahead.
I'd like to bring up a matter of new business to expand the agenda with regards to resolution in support of our participation in the earning more proceeds from our child exercise severance tax.
It's been moved and second. Any questions? And Ms. Vita, let us know.
Okay.
All right. And that passes. Okay. Let's see, you like to make a motion? Yeah, okay. Ready? Mr. Dominic, you want to do yours first?
Yeah.
Make your motion?
Move, to ask that move the Thursday agenda, accept the resignation of Hughie Banker from Fire District 7, and appoint Kevin Stewart in his place.
So moved.
Been moved and second by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Escudate. Any questions? And if not, please vote. That passes. All right, Ms. McCullough, if you'd make your motion.
I'd like to make a motion to expand the agenda,
Already done that. You're just gonna make a motion to
move it
move.
to Thursday. The appointment of George Wilson, Dean Irvin,
Okay.
to sewer district number 7.
Second.
You have a motion by Commissioner McCullough, second by Commissioner Thibodeau. Any questions? If not, please vote. That passes. Mr. Escudate?
I'd like to move that we move to Thursday a resolution in support of amendment number 4.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Escudate, second by Commissioner Jenkins. Any questions? If not, please vote when Ms. Vita tells us to. Boy, you barely have to talk today, and that's just...
Okay.
And that passes. All righty. Any other new business be brought up at this time? If not, we have a consent agenda, which basically we can go through that. Let's see, the commissioners. Yeah, okay, after this, before this meeting is over, we still have to hear the case from October 6th. Anything else before we get into that?
We're good.
The consent agenda, we really don't.
We're done.
Okay.
Go to adjourn.
To adjourn, and then we'll open right back up. Okay, everybody just keep your seats. And if you would, when we come back, we'll review from the last time we were here. Pepper, you will go first as far as the inspection and the material that you were requested to answer at this meeting today. Mr. Mouton, you and your client will be able to open up with your statements of what he has done since the last time he was here, and then we will open the floor up for discussion. Any questions? All right, and if you don't mind, you can have a seat until that's done. Any other questions from the administration?
Yes, sir.
Sir? All right. Mr. Pepper?
First thing I'd like to do, in the interest of his time and ours, is one of the requests that was made was to have a member of the Animal Services Board come up and talk about the determination that was made at that time. Deputy Marcus Green sat on that hearing, and what I'd like to do is offer him an opportunity to come up and just talk about the question that was asked of him was why one was vicious and upheld and one was dangerous and downgraded. And if he has any questions for him, you can ask them at that time.
How y'all doing?
Please state your name and address.
Marcus Green, Caddo Parish Deputy, address 8909 Ann Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71118.
Thanks, sir. Go ahead.
All right, on the situation between the dogs, one was deemed vicious because of the dog's behavior, of course, the neighbors, the community, and after determining that situation, also at the kennel. I mean, just with the dog behavior alone, felt like it'd be a threat to the society and the public if the dog was to get out again. We actually felt like the dog would actually bite or cause harm to someone in the community.
That was it?
Yeah, any further questions?
Okay, Mr. Askin, first thing, okay, if you have a question, just raise your hand, and Ms. Vita, if you could get Ms. McCullough's name off, and then that way they can go ahead and start punching the buttons again. I thought you were in the back. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Escudate?
Deputy, how you doing today?
Pretty good.
You're a member of the K-9 unit for the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you done that?
Right at probably a year.
You've observed the dog at the kennel?
Yes, sir.
How to interact with it, or you just didn't want to get?
Just from walking up to him, I mean, the dog's behavior alone, I mean, I know a vicious dog, I mean, from training and I determine any kid or any person walk up to the dog for us, I mean, anybody, the dog, just his behavior alone, I mean, vicious.
So as one who works with dogs, would you say that you're uncomfortable around the dog?
Yeah, very uncomfortable.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for this officer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jenkins?
When I read the reports, and let me express my appreciation for the reports because it's helpful when you got all of the information in front of you, not bits and pieces. But my understanding of what occurred was that there may have been 3 to 4 dogs that chased someone out there.
Yes, sir.
And I think 3 of these dogs may have been owned by Mr., is it Hadley?
Aldi,
Aldi. And 2 of the dogs were taken in, was considered vicious dogs. A decision was made to, I think, downgrade one to
dangerous.
Dangerous and let that dog go back home, and still holding a dog that we consider to be a vicious dog. Now, here's what I'm trying to get straight. What particular behavior are we talking about that was different? Because it appears that both dogs, including the one that was returned home, chased someone. Why was that dog allowed to be downgraded to dangerous and allowed to return home? That's what I'm having a little trouble with right now.
Okay, after the determination of interviewing and getting both sides of the party, it determined that the vicious dog, more the alpha dog, leading and pretty much, initiating the other dogs, leader of the pack.
I don't know a lot about dog behavior, but, it just seems to me that if both of the dogs chased someone and acted aggressively there on the scene, why would they not either be both characterized as vicious or both characterized as, just because what I got in my mind right now is one of these dogs are back at home. And when we start talking about dangerous, it's more or less certain things that that owner has to do to
Criteria, the owners have to-
ensure that that place is safe. So, got a dog that's vicious that someone wants to put to sleep. I got a dog that acted the same way that's back at home, simply with some requirements that the owner do some things to make the place a little bit safer. And I'll be honest with you now. What happened at the kennel?
At the kennel, you know, just with trying to interact with the dog, or, you know, I mean, walk up to the dog, you know, I mean, just from the dog behavior, I mean, growling, I mean, trying to get through through the cage itself, you know, I mean, that's the dog's behavior.
I've seen these dogs get a little wired up when animal service people come around in the first place, like they just know who they are for some reason.
Just
And
with
they get a little bit more high
myself
strung.
and the other board members, after we conclude the meeting, walk through the kennels, I mean, dog's behavior.
So the only thing I'm hearing right now is you all sense the difference in behavior in the two dogs. The one that's being held, is it fair to say you're saying that that dog acts more aggressive than the one that was allowed to go home?
Yes, sir.
I'm still having a problem with the fact that one of the dogs, if both of those dogs were still at the kennel, they both chased somebody, and they both got picked up, both was categorized as being vicious. Now, if they both were still there, this may be a little bit easier for me to resolve in my mind. I'm still having a problem with why a dog is allowed to go back home, and if both of these dogs made the community dangerous, how is it that one of them is not making the community dangerous? How is this one being able to go back home is making it any more safer than what it was when both of them were there? So that's the thing that I guess that I'm wrestling with in my mind.
I didn't respond to the initial call. Another deputy responded to the call. From his reports, what the dog behavior was doing there, he was there, you know, his reports. Only thing we hear at the meeting is, you know, I guess.
Did y'all talk to those deputies that came to the scene?
I didn't talk to the deputies. We just talked to.
Did y'all review the reports from those deputies at the scene?
Yeah, I reviewed his report, read his report.
And do you agree with me that when they came, all of the dogs was charging this
Yeah, I agree with you.
officer? They all was behaving the same way. And then we pick them up and we take them down. And one we send back home, and now I'm supposed to believe it's going to be safer because that one is back home and this one is put to sleep. And why aren't both of these dogs being put to sleep if they were behaving the same way?
All right, my take on that is I say if I'm just a neighbor or citizen, a neighbor, if I patrol that area, I went by and looked at the fence. If this dog was to get out, I feel like a dog would hurt somebody. Like to kill I actually heard her kill somebody. That's how I feel with the dog. From the dog behavior and knowing, the behavior of dogs, dealing with dogs daily. That's my take on it.
How's the one that's back home acting that makes you feel
I
more
haven't
comfortable
been by
with
there
that?
since.
Are you more comfortable with the one?
Yeah, I would be
back home?
more comfortable with that dog.
Why?
Just from walking in the kennel, and the same way with a kid walking up the street. If I feel like if a kid would walk past this yard, that dog, the dangerous dog, wouldn't be as hostile as the vicious dog. I don't know for 100% sure, but that's my take on it. But with the vicious dog, you walk past that fence, the dog got that fence. I feel like a dog would actually hurt or kill somebody.
Okay, that's all the questions I had for
Okay.
Mr. Green.
All right, anyone else for
I
this
got
officer?
one question.
Ma'am.
You all, it was 3 dogs involved, right?
I think it was 4 total. He shot and killed one of the dogs.
1 killed, 1's back home, 1 is in the kennel, or is there? Oh, 2 at home.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm really kind of like Commissioner Jenkins is like, how is 2 of them are not bad and 1 of them is? Kind of like me. I'm just kind of like that same thing. And I know you saying you don't know, you didn't go to that call, or you didn't. That's kind of like my question too. How's 1 of them real bad versus 2 that's not? Don't have the answer to that.
No more than just from the behavior, from the kennel and the behavior, from the statements of the witnesses and, what we did at the board meeting, No more than that information now.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need.
Ms. Lynch?
I'm not sure about dogs, but I got in a lot of trouble for being the ringleader. But if that wasn't right, let me know so I can get on my mama.
Yeah, you
Some
were the
whippings.
ringleader.
For those whippings. I mean, we both may have done something, but I got in trouble for being the ringleader, so let me know if that wasn't the right thing to do, so I can get on her.
You were the most dangerous one.
So was that your comment, or?
That
you-
was my comment.
Okay. Ms. Caddo?
Put her down.
I think what we're trying to determine is the disposition of an animal, not the one at the kennel, the one that's been returned home, and make him guilty by association with the other. I'm not gonna say dogs are like people, but I've owned enough dogs to know they all have different personalities. So if I have to take the advice of the experts, and if they feel like the dog that was released they're comfortable around him and he's not vicious, then I'll take them at their word. The leader of the pack can be strong. It's also the influence of humans. Just because 3 guys go in armed to rob a bank, and 2 of them are shaking, one gets carried away and shoots somebody, doesn't mean the other 2 would pull the trigger. So I think what's really at issue here and what we need to stay on point is the disposition of the animal that is currently in custody. Thank you.
They all get the same sentence, Mr. Escudé.
Pardon me?
Whether they pull the trigger or not, they all get the same sentence, though.
That's not
go in
necessarily
there and
true.
rob a bank.
Depends on what quality representation they have, sir.
I just go to jail, so I wouldn't know anything.
Okay. Ms. Vita, if you will, take those 2 off. Is there any more questions for this officer? Yes, sir, Mr. Mouton. Now,
All due respect, are you familiar with this term vicious in the law, or is that your personal impression?
That's my personal.
yeah, hold on,
No, he
hold on,
can't- he
hold
can't
on.
do that.
You can't ask him, a question.
Interrogate him in here.
The only thing that you're looking up at this board is you ask us questions or we ask you questions. You cannot ask him questions, he cannot ask you questions. That's the way this board's made up.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was
That's-
just trying
that's
to
fine.
qualify the opinion that was made here about being vicious.
That's
in light
fine.
of the statute.
That's fine. Tell him you'll call him back. Okay, is there any other questions for this officer? If not, Mr. Pepper, you want to proceed?
I can first ask if there's no more questions, if we can excuse him to.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'm familiar, I was told I could bring this in here. Did everyone receive the packet we mailed out last Monday?
Yes.
What I'd like to do then is review that packet, and again, I can turn this on and shoot if there's anything needs to be clarified further. What you received was 4 reports. One was an additional report by the Caddo Sheriff's Office from June 1st, where a sheriff's deputy responded to call of 2 lost loose Rottweilers that the complainant stated will bite. That's the complainant statement. You also received a copy of the Caddo Sheriff's Office report from August 17th. That was the one where Deputy James Willis ended up shooting one of the dogs, as well as our animal control reports from both August 14th and then again 3 days later where we responded to assist Deputy James Willis. I guess in the interest of not rehashing things, do you need me is everyone comfortable with those reports? Are there any questions on the reports that I provided?
Does anybody have any questions for those reports? If not, we're going to move on. Okay, sir.
What I'd like to do here, and I'm sorry with being unfamiliar with the equipment, is just go over some of the photos real quick.
Mr. Spears?
Oh, they just need to turn this on, if that's correct. All of you received the photos. These photos were taken on October 7th, the day after the hearing. I went out there the next day between about 2 and 3 p.m.
Somebody had already turned it on the back. Just slide it underneath.
I haven't used one of these in a while, so.
There you go.
I'm just going to go over these photos one by one just to explain them again. This is Grim. This is the dog that was upheld as vicious and is still in the custody of the animal shelter. This is the dog that was downgraded to dangerous and was allowed to return home. Venus, I'm sorry for the photos, the camera focused on the fence. One of the things you'll notice about Venus, part of the requirements of your dog being deemed dangerous is that it is required to wear the dangerous dog collar at all times. That's part of section 410-3A, dangerous dog collar supplied by the Animal Control Center shall be purchased and affixed to the dog and worn at all times. As you can see, the dog does not have that, but this is Venus. Just another photo just to go over all the photos that were provided. Are those zoomed up enough for everyone? Okay. The next photo is going to be of the chicken wire fencing used by Mr. Haldy to extend the height of his fence.
Just lost it.
Cut off here. If it'd be easier, I can just step up here and work.
Can somebody in the control room turn the overhead back on?
Get rid of that noise.
It sounds like we're being transported on Star Trek.
Earn your money.
We still here, man. You got beeped up yet.
What these are is this is from the exterior, the main entrance. You see what was used to extend the height of the fence was chicken wire fence. The reason that concerns me typically is Rottweilers are very good at climbers, and I'm not confident that that would adequately contain a dog. What I'm going to do is just go through the additional photos just to show the front of the property. Just some close-ups of the fencing that was used. Some of the concerns that I have with with what was done is, number one, it didn't extend the length of the fencing. If you look down the front aisle, this is from I'm standing in the driveway looking down one side of the property. You'll see that as you go to the end, which is still connected with the open yard, there's an entire area where it's not extended to 6 foot. And I get a close-up here of it. I would put that at about a 4-foot fence. Just to give scale, Field Manager Andy Schultz is here to show the height of what that portion of the fence is at, and that is the same area that's protected by the chicken wire fence to extend the height. There's also some issues with some gaps in between the fencing. I'm going to show 2 particular areas, but as you can see, many parts, chicken wire and the fencing was not connected. Therefore, in my opinion, defeating the purpose of the extension. Another area. There were portions of it that Mr. Haldy did comply with. Here's the sign that's placed at his front door, front gate to the property. We talked a little bit about the shock fencing that was utilized that Mr. Haldy placed to help prevent the animals from escape. These are photographs from the incident on August 17th, just to go back and rehash. What this shows is that those were in place at that time and still did not prevent the dog from escaping. And if there are any questions about these photographs, they were taken by Officer Inman, just in case anyone has any questions on whether or not they were taken on that date. This is just the front gate where they were. My concern is that shock fencing was not adequate then, and I don't believe it to be adequate now. What I also have is the victim witness statements, and rather than read them, I just would like to offer, if anyone has again any questions. Ms. Wheeler has again appeared. The Loftons intended to, but I do not see them here. Does anyone else need anything expanded or clarified from Ms. Wheeler or on those victim witness statements?
Well, before we do that, and does anyone have any, and I see Mr. Dominic's already up, does anyone have any questions to Mr. Pepper about the fencing in general? Okay, I've got Mr. Dominic, and then I just saw Mr. Thibodeau. Mr. Dominic?
First question I have is, Mr. Meantime, he received a copy of the packet we got?
Copy of the reports, police reports. He asked for a copy of their police reports, and I submitted those certified mail.
Is a dangerous dog, the ordinance require there to be a 6-foot fencing for a dangerous dog, or is it?
There, the exact dimensions are on there. I think it's at least a 6 foot to maintain the dog, and it has to be suitable, contain the animal.
Main thing we're here for today is concerning the vicious dog,
Well,
determining whether we need to uphold or
yeah,
the animal
yeah.
controls or supervisory board's decision concerning the vicious dog or supposed vicious dog that's being held at the kennel today.
I agree.
And that being said, if this board was to overturn the decision of the board, of the animal board, and send this dog back home, you need to ask, or you need to feel confident that that fencing that he has showed you today is suitable, not only that dog, but the other two that are still there.
Understand, and that, get to the point to where, he's saying it's a 6-foot fencing.
Okay. Well, I'll have something to say about that too. So that's basically what we're going. Yeah.
I guess he's saying you gotta have a 6-foot fence.
Yeah.
If you have a dangerous dog.
Well, I think everyone can agree this is not your typical definition of a vicious dog. And I believe the extenuating circumstances are the amount of effort and the failure to acknowledge the issue from Mr. Haldy. I feel that we've had continued problems, and I am not confident that we will not see continued problems if the animals go back. I also placed in there just an aerial photo. They're off now. Anyways, it's an aerial photo showing the homes in the area, for everyone who received that.
See that?
Put it back up.
Oh, it's back on now.
Yeah.
It's difficult to see, and I apologize for the clarity, but Colin is right here. This is Chipper Lane. And I also think it's important to acknowledge, while obviously it's not the typical definition of a vicious dog, I still think there are extenuating circumstances that lead me to believe that the animals will not be adequately contained. And I have yet to feel comfortable that Mr. Haldy does acknowledge the fact that these animals could create a problem. And I would like to submit that during our interview, both Mr. Andy Seltz, our president, our field manager, as well as Officer Roman Walker, where we discussed this issue, and Mr. Haldy did admit and did say that his dogs are potentially a threat. And he did say that if they got out, his dogs are a danger to the community if they were to get out. And my concern is I don't believe we can adequately contain them, to my confidence.
When was that statement that he?
That was statement made on 10/7/08, approximately 2:30. And again, just present to that comment, to that statement were field manager Andy Seltz, who can testify to that, as well as Officer Roman Walker. And they both signed statements saying that is in fact what was said, so. Without any.
Okay, I have, wait a minute. I have Mr. Thibodeau, Mr. Lynn, Ms. McCullough. Mr. Thibodeau?
My question got answered.
Okay, Mr. Lynn?
I'd like to add that I was also out there the day of 10/7/08 and knocked on 8 doors, and of the 8 doors that I knocked on, that 3 people answered their door. One couple had Rottweilers, and when they got them, they got rid of theirs because they were scared that theirs would get confused as the ones that bit somebody, and so they got rid of their dogs. Another couple would not leave their house when they saw the dogs were loose, and another person packed a sidearm and said that if the dogs came in his yard, that he would just shoot them, and that there would be no worries. Recently, I pulled a study off of the internet stating that dogs smell fear, and that if you do fear them, they are more likely to bite you, and if they don't smell fear, then they are going to leave you alone. Obviously, the person that packed the firearm had no fear, and so the dogs didn't mess with him. Ultimately, a child who is afraid of them, the dogs could definitely pose a much greater threat. That's all.
Ms. McCullough?
Actually, on the aerial map, could you show me exactly where the little girl lived?
Yeah, and you know what, figures I would put it right in here.
Mm-hmm.
Versus where the dog actually resided?
Hawley's property, this is 1031 Lane right here, this is Hawley's property, she lives directly across this. 1041, correct?
Could you come up and point out?
All they're gonna ask is just to.
property here,
Mhm.
right?
Chipper Lane is right here.
Right. this
These
is
are
his-
sometimes difficult to read.
This
so I
is his
apologize.
property.
Mhm.
So he lives here at 1021, which is
Okay.
right next door, and that's going to be one of the little girls. But I live at 1046 Lane, actually right here. And then we've got these right in here. It's actually not a really good map. But directly across the street from his driveway is one little girl. I live right next door.
Yeah, thank,
Those three houses right there.
thank you, ma'am.
I think it's important to also keep in mind that when we talked about, when the Deputy Green talked about the alpha dog and the dogs being pack animals, that's exactly what dogs are. And if you get dogs in unstructured environments, multiple dogs together, they do become more aggressive. And that is, my concern is not the behavior they display at the shelter. While they've displayed extremely approachable behavior, I do have a DVD of 2 videos, neither of which will show what you would think of as a typically vicious dog. But the problem is there are times when the dogs tear up the front cage to get to you, then there are times that the dogs are very friendly. Dogs that are unpredictable are the most dangerous kinds because you don't know what type of behavior to predict and what type of response you're going to get from the trigger that you might provide that dog. So if there are no more questions,
Is there any more questions from Pepper? Any more? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir?
President, members of the commission, I furnished you with some photographs of Mr. Haldy's new kennel that he put in. That Venus, the dog that was, for reasons that are not clear, downgraded to dangerous, was released back to Mr. Haldy. And following the meeting here on the 6th, Animal Control came out, and the fence that they said was okay was no longer okay. So Mr. Haldy took some further measures and put in a kennel. Sunk it with concrete all the way around. It is 6 feet high. It is electrified. He intends to put a roof on it so that a dog cannot escape that when it is out in the yard. That it is essentially, please, Animal Control, a dog jail. Every possible respect. Now, we continue to hear about this vicious dog, but now they concede that it doesn't fit the typical definition. Well, this is an unusual body, this commission. It makes ordinances, it makes laws that people can be expected to understand and follow in a civilized society. This dog, they were an exception from, because it has never, ever bitten anyone. Mr. Hawley doesn't have a poodle guarding his property. He has a Rottweiler to intimidate people off of his property. It chased someone when they ran from it. This is what dogs do, but it never has ever bitten anyone, ever. Now, there was some talk in here on the 6th about almost taking a preemptory view that just in case will uphold Animal Control's decision. How can a civilized society work when the law doesn't apply? Citizens cannot be expected to know what is and what is not the law. 2 specific criteria are in the law. With all due respect to the canine officer, saying this is vicious, in his 1-year experience, the dog has never bit anyone. That is a required criteria. Never. It also has never before been declared dangerous. Ever. Both criteria are missing from declaring this animal vicious and ordering its destruction. Yet, Animal Control has taken a position that this dog is vicious, but not typically under the definition. Well, then how can a citizen expect to know what the law is? Man and dogs have had relationships since before recorded time. Mr. Haldy has a Rottweiler as a watchdog. There is nothing unusual about that. It barks at people. It is protective. It got out of his yard. It chased someone who ran. It's never bitten anyone ever. Haldy has taken extraordinary measures to please Animal Control and to show this commission that if he can have his dog back, a dog that never bit anyone or was ever previously declared dangerous, if he can have his dog back, it will be contained, if it's in the yard, in this animal jail or in the house. That it's not going to have a chance to bite anyone. Now, animal control has effectively removed the purpose of this dog as a watchdog, as it cannot patrol the property, and the outside fence, which before was acceptable, and now following the October 6th hearing is not acceptable. They can't patrol the property anymore. But Mr. Haldy loves his dog, as I'm sure anybody who's owned a dog does. This dog that never bit anyone, it's never before been declared dangerous. They brought some still photographs, and I'm not sure whether these photographs show their position about this atypical vicious dog. But a friend of mine and I went to the dog pound, never ever before having seen Mr. Haldy's dog, and took a video of this dog that they claim is vicious. It is 15 seconds, and I'm set up if I can play it right now.
Yes, you can. Control room, if you'll run that tape, please.
I'm connected to your video inputs here.
Okay.
Sorry?
Go ahead, try to play yours.
Today is October 8th. This is Grim. We're at the animal shelter. This is my friend Jeannie Herman. We have never been here before. This is our first day ever to Grim. Give him a treat. This is the vicious animal. An alpha dog in the pound, in the area where the rabid dogs are kept, not in the regular area of the pound. And without ever seeing this dog before, or getting it comfortable with us, or having its owner with us, we simply approached this dog with a representative of animal control, ran the video. It didn't attack, it wasn't vicious, it wasn't dangerous. Of course, it's in dog jail, and that's where he'll have to live if this commission votes not to destroy this dog that clearly does not meet the definition under the law of being a vicious dog. Now, in Louisiana, we used to have an idea that the dog gets the first bite for free, and I'm sure any lawyer would understand what I'm talking about, but no longer. Dogs don't get the first bite free. Everybody is responsible for the actual harm that anything they has causes. Now, of course, Haldy's dog has not actually ever bitten anyone. It scared some kids who were running from it. And for that, we have to concede that you may consider this dog, for whatever other criteria you may have, as dangerous. And remedial measures are already in place to keep this dog effectively contained in a 6-foot kennel enclosure, electrified to keep him from getting out, and we'll soon have a roof over it in case the dog happens to be out there during the rain. And Mr. Haldy will absolutely be responsible for anything that happens with his dogs. Of course, his dogs can't just roam free, and if that's what happened, then that's what he's guilty of to get out of the yard. But they didn't bite anyone, they didn't cause any harm, and they never before been declared dangerous. I ask this commission to please find that this dog should not be destroyed, because it does not meet either criteria under the law that we should all be expected to know and follow. Not some atypical interpretation, but the actual law. The law that we all have to expect can be upheld.
Okay. I have several commissioners. I have Jenkins, Escadade, and Lynch for now. That'll be the first round, unless somebody else comes up. Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, I have I don't want to be misunderstood. I have certainly a sense of concern for the safety of people in that community. And as it relates to this side of the case, my question is this, I have questions about you, sir, and you showing the kind of responsibility that you need to show for your dogs. Why did it have to get to this point for you to get a pen like this, keep your dogs in it? Obviously, had been out, and people were telling you that your dogs were out. Why did it have to get to this point to make you do something like this? Because my question now is, are you going to be a responsible owner of your pets? Because you haven't seemed to show that in the past.
Well, that's just negligence on my part, Commissioner.
And I admire the fact that you're willing to admit it, but what kind of assurance can I get from you that you're going to be more responsible than what you've shown in the past for your dogs?
If you would take a look at the picture, sir, you'll see that the measures that I had taken, the area where the dogs escaped initially is between my property and the trailer in front. They went under the fencing that we found out, so that is why we have concreted the whole perimeter across there and put up a double wire. Not only did I increase the gauge of the electrical fence up to a 16 or 15 gauge, I'm sorry, wire. Both strands now are that. So there is no possibility with no breaks. There are no breaks in the wires.
And how much did this cost you to put up this pen that you got that I'm seeing in these photographs? What did it run?
I don't know.
Approximately.
Quite a bit. I didn't keep, it doesn't matter. My concern is to keep the dog confined. Whatever I was asked to do, which was really nothing by anyone from the animal control, but they never came to me and said, let's work this out. Let's keep this dog confined. Let's work away. No, that never came up. Kill the dog. That's all I heard. Okay, and I'm sorry, get carried away.
I understand your dogs are running loose out there, and we're hearing that they're chasing children and got people scared to come out the house. So it's not a matter of what animal control did or did not initiate in this situation
it was
for me
not
right
their
now. My
problem.
question, let me finish my question, let you answer. My question is, to me, from what I've heard, just based on the last time we talked about this and today, you haven't showed a lot of responsibility for your animals. That's concerning me. They're out and they're in the street. They're chasing people and people are afraid of them. I mean, what kind of assurances do I have? Because I think your dog is dangerous. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not totally convinced that it's a vicious dog under the ordinance. That's just my opinion. But what kind of assurances do I have if your dog was downgraded to dangerous and sent back to you, that dog is not going to get out and hurt somebody? I mean, what kind of assurances do I have of that?
The changes that I have made in the security of the property, to me, seem like that would be sufficient enough. The wiring that I used, the netting, is, in my opinion, I was of the same opinion as Mr. Lynn when I first started thinking about this, but it's so much easier for a dog to climb a fence, like a square fence or a chain link fence, than it is to climb a smaller hole fence. The holes in the fencing will hurt the dog's paws a whole lot more than they can hook and climb up. They can't climb this fence. There's no way. And that's the 6-foot fence I'm talking about now.
Okay, but you got a pen here also you're going to keep them in too, right?
Have a
I
kennel.
understand if they're going to be kept in this
Yes, sir. He will be,
That's what, right, that's what I'm saying, that
Yes,
dog
sir.
is gonna be kept in this.
except when
pen
I
that
get
I'm
him
looking
out
at?
and I exercise him and things like that.
Do you have anywhere else that your dog could be kept other than that Chipper Lane?
No, sir.
Or you don't have another
Well, the
place?
house,
Beg your pardon?
my house, is that what you're referring to?
House in other than your residence
than
at
his
Chipper Lane?
property?
Right.
No, sir. Do not.
I need to ask Mr. Pepper, one of the officers, a question now. Hey, what about this? Is this improvement better than what?
Not seen that, I'm sorry.
Take a minute to look at that. I'm trying to see if this is better than the photographs that you all took and provided to us.
Well, this would be an obvious improvement, and I guess my concern is the same concern that you had initially, which is, why did it have to get to this point? But I would say that it would be, that looking at what you're looking at now, that was not present before, but that would be a definite improvement. I would see that as, they have a dog that's currently there right now that's been deemed dangerous. I would find that a suitable home for that one there as well. But yes, I would say that would be an improvement from what's existing.
Would this be a suitable place for the dog that's called, that we labeled vicious, that has to go back there? Would this be a suitable place for that dog?
I'll answer that two ways, I guess. One is, yes, it is a definite improvement. But in working with animals, as long as I have, my concern is the unpredictable behavior the dog displays. No one can watch a dog 100% of the time. And what happens the time you let it out the front door and someone forgets to shut that gate, and it displays that same unpredictable behavior. But I will say that is a definite improvement from what's been present in the past.
May I add that Matt's point is well taken. About the gate being left open, I'm the only one who has the key. I take it back. My daughter and I are the only two people that have the key to the gate. And if you'll notice, the gate is on a second page with padlock. Right in the second picture. I will be totally responsible for that gate being locked every day when I leave.
Well, I see some improvements to your premises now. Here's my other question. Has there been any improvement or any change in you as the owner of the dog to be responsible
Yes, sir.
for the dog?
Obviously, it'd have to be for me to go through all this, trying to protect my neighbor's welfare. Okay? I could have just left the two wires up, but that was when it was approved for occupancy. I didn't feel that that was enough because of Sue's concern toward me. She said, Bill, that's not enough. I said, okay. So I said to myself, I said, you got to fix the fence better. So that's when I went and put the extension up, added the second strand of stronger gauge wire, and the kennel, when any of them came out, said that it wasn't enough.
One other question, and I'll be finished. Mr. Pepper, let me ask this. I know that there are a lot of requirements that have to be put in place if a dog is declared to be dangerous. Is among those any kind of training for the owner?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. He is directed to Mr.
Not
Pepper.
anything in the regulations that would mandate that. One of the things that we're looking at right now is to revamp that entire evaluation procedure, to have something more concrete for you. But no, there's nothing that would mandate responsible pet ownership classes.
That board, that animal advisory board can't require a mandate that the owner gets some appropriate training?
Let me break in here. It's sometimes up to the commission to order that owner and that animal to go to training, which we have done that as a condition of any decisions we may make.
What was your comment, sir?
Sir, I've already looked into that at the training center in PetSmart. Her name is Eunice. I can't remember her last name, but she is a pet trainer, and we've already signed up.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Escudade?
The kennel, I see you built the kennel, the enclosed kennel.
Yes, sir.
What's your intentions regarding use of that kennel?
That's where Grim will be housed when I'm not there.
When you're not there?
Yes, sir.
You're only gonna let him run around the rest of the property while you're there?
Not run around, sir. No, I will take him out and exercise him, And then at night, he will probably be staying inside the house. It when, weather permitting, you know.
Does not have, it's got dirt floor, is that correct?
Pardon?
Got ground underneath, I don't see concrete.
Yes, if you look on the second page of the, oops, second or third page.
Got it.
Come back, I'm sorry. Don't know what page it's on, but you'll see the whole, you'll notice there's no bottom rail on the very first page. I'm sorry. Very first page there, bottom picture. You see there's no bottom rail there. That's because it's entrenched in about 350 pounds of concrete.
You dug a footing and you buried the
perimeter.
in the concrete?
Yes, sir.
I just can't see it.
Correct.
We can't burrow through.
Correct.
Okay.
And
Yes,
I
sir.
also have added 4 corner posts that are also concreted in, tied off so he can't step on it.
Well,
Of course, he couldn't anyway. That 400 pounds concrete around there.
I would just like to say, and then that's all I'm gonna do with this, is, you know, I understand your love for your dogs. I have dogs. But the human safety and welfare take precedence.
Yes, sir. That's why I'm doing this.
And I'm sure Mr. Mouton would hate to come back down the road and represent you after your dog's mauled or injured somebody. In fact, I know he wouldn't want to do that.
Okay.
As far as the issue of whether the dog's vicious or not and the law and all, Mr. Mouton, I imagine you and I may agree on this point. If the law was crystal clear, there was no gray, you guys wouldn't have a job because judges could pretty much say yes or no. So that's fairly arbitrary to me. I'm sure you're familiar with Siegfried and Roy. They'd expect that tiger to maul the other one. Didn't have a bad disposition until the day he had a bad disposition. I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't think either one of you do too. So I think it's kind of subjective, these things.
Yesterday,
Pardon me?
I assure you, sir, if this dog was vicious, we would not be here.
Well, he may not be today, and he may not be around you, but you don't know what the future holds. And I do know this, that my concern is that he did get out, and he did scare some people. And that, I know, is against parish law, okay? So what I'm here to tell you is today, if you end up having this dog returned to you, if it ever gets loose again, regardless of whether it hurts anybody, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he's done away with. Because he can't do anything to you, and you're responsible for him.
Sir.
He shouldn't be out. My dogs are tagged. I take them out like I'm supposed to. They're not a problem. They're small dogs, wouldn't hurt anybody. But I know what it's like. I don't particularly care for big dogs. I don't show fear, but, you know, if I don't know him, and we have no idea what's going to happen down the road. Looks like you've made efforts. Looks like you must love your dog to go through this kind of effort, you know. But be clear, you know. I don't know what the disposition of this body's going to be, but I mean, if there's ever reported and documented to get out again, you know.
Yes, sir.
There needs history.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I got, you know, you got a lot of them up here. Before we go to Ms. Lynch, Mr. Smith, Mr. Lamb, Mr. Pearson, the chair has a few comments and questions. How many times have we been called out to this residence over a period of time? Okay, before?
August 17th. Before, I don't have any records of it, but we do have the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Officer on June 1st, and again on August 17th.
Okay. Ma'am, I don't know your name, but you were shaking your head. Just give me a number from sitting at the chair. How many times do you think? Yes, ma'am. Okay, in the last year, over a period of time?
I would say with last.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
The people I visited with had also called Parish and the police multiple times.
The only thing I want to point out, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Lynch and Mr. Smith, Mr. Lynn, Mr. Pearson, is that to me, this is not proper fencing. This is chicken wire, top and bottom. You throw a 70-pound dog up against this fence long enough, it's going to bend, lean, and tear. This is for chickens or small small animals. Your fencing here, down on the bottom that has the rectangular squares, it's on page,
Yes, sir. I know.
second page. You can see where you have your electric guides hooked up to that. There's your pole there, and then you have an extension pole up with the chicken wire there. One, it looks like, it makes the whole neighborhood look cheap, in my opinion. And two, it doesn't make your property look good. And three, this is not proper fencing is the way I would describe it and the way I would look at it in the laws or the ordinances that we wrote. Proper fencing would be a 6-foot wood fence all the way around your property.
There was an option, yes, sir.
Well, if it was an option, my question to you is, how much do you love your dogs? Because I'm telling you now, that ain't gonna make it. I mean, I'm giving you my opinion.
Yes, sir, I understand.
And this is the last thing I want to say. When you ask, or when we are asked, why did y'all rule that way? And we've had, since I've been here, Carl, how many we've had, Steph? 5 or 6 of these come up?
That's a big old shepherd.
And we have to not only look out for the way you feel about your animal, but we also have to look out for the neighbors. And we have to look out for the next case that comes up before us. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Your dogs got out. Not once, not twice, many, many times. And then when you say, well, I've improved it. To me, sir, this is not improving. In my opinion, this is not what I would. I'll put a pool in my backyard. I didn't want people looking over from the next yard over. So did I put up a 6-foot fence? I put up 8.
What?
I put up an 8.
8.
Okay? So if you want something bad enough and you're saying you're doing what's right for your dog, this would be the thing that I would have a concern at. Okay? Chicken wire does not stop a 70-pound dog. Even though you're gonna say you let your dog out to exercise that afternoon, and you go back in the house, and so those kids are out front playing, and something tricks him again. He just don't like a certain kid, and he's gonna jump that fence. That chicken wire is not gonna hold him, guarantee it. That's my opinion. That's the only thing I see right now that's swaying my decision, is that fencing right there. Ms. Lynch, Mr. Smith, Mr. Lynn.
You didn't tell us you had a pool. But 8-foot fence and didn't tell us.
They don't want to see me beach well, you know.
My question is to our attorney. Thank you, John, for those closing arguments you gave. But my question is to Attorney Frazier. Does a dog have to be declared vicious for us to make a decision to put a dog down?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I guess what's the caveat? This dog is been deemed vicious or dangerous or what?
This dog was deemed, oh, I'm sorry, was that?
Yes.
This dog was deemed vicious, I believe, by the director first, upheld by the animal board, and now the appeal is in front of y'all as to whether the animal board's decision should be upheld.
Okay, so from your review of the case from a legal standpoint, does the circumstances support that the dog is vicious?
Commissioner Lynch, I really don't render an opinion, but what you all have in your ordinance, it does not fit, I believe, under the first 2 categories, which are that it has to have bitten someone or been previously declared dangerous and then gotten out again. There is a portion of that ordinance, if you all find that there were extenuating circumstances, and I believe that is the portion that both Mr. Pepper and the animal board relied upon, that there are extenuating circumstances in place where this dog should be declared vicious. Then, according to that ordinance, you all can declare the dog vicious and order that the dog be euthanized.
Okay, so this has been vetted through legal?
Well, yes, ma'am. What has happened is I believe the last meeting that you all were present, I gave out copies of the ordinance, and I apologize. I just thought they would be back here again today.
but it's just kind of a determination on you all's part, because that would be the portion of the ordinance, whether or not you thought there was sufficient extenuating circumstances to uphold.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
I'm going to move that we uphold the Animal Board's decision, and if I get a second, I'll give you some opinions.
Have a motion on the board by Mr. Smith, second by Commissioner Lynn, to uphold the ruling of the board.
Go ahead.
You know, all of us love dogs. All of us have dogs, I assume. But I love children and families a lot more. And there's no way I can vote to not do this when children are afraid to come out of their own house and get in their own yard.
Sir, they're not afraid to come out of their house. The kids next door, they're playing in the backyard. I had one of them come in the yard last night. Pardon?
Yes, sir. Okay. You spoke on your motion. Your second, Mr. Lynn, did you want to speak on anything on that motion?
Yes. When I went out there and visited, I noticed that your front yard, it's only attached, your fence is only attached to the front of your house. And so if a dog could get out of the back of the house, the fence is there, but the back is nothing but a 4-foot fence behind your house. You had broken windows in your home for a dog to jump out. And visiting with you face to face, there was an apathetic attitude that you didn't seem to grasp the magnitude of how serious it was for your dogs to be getting out. From visiting with your neighbors, that this wasn't something that was brand spanking new, that this had been going on for years and years, and that many of them were just sick and tired of complaining about it, knowing that nothing was going to be done. And I can't let the dog, I can't override a decision that somebody deemed vicious, to entrust the dog with you, to know that in my own heart that dog very likely may not be watched in a way that it could not get out.
Okay, so we have a motion to uphold the board. It's been moved by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Lynn.
Wait a minute, I want to speak.
Mr. Pearson, Mr. Escudate.
Well, briefly, since the motion has been made, I've been raising Rottweilers for years. If you got a climber, if you got one that's gonna dig out, he's gonna dig out. I got an 8-foot fence, you know, and I put 2 chain link fences together. I had a 4-foot fence. If you had come back in here and you had taken that 4-foot chain link and attached to that 4-foot fence, taking it up another 4 feet or 2 feet, then, you know, it would look pretty good. But if you got dogs that's gonna get out, and you got dogs, you gotta put electric wire around to keep them from getting out. You know, I would be afraid to live next door to that dog myself. I love them. I mean, I love Rottweilers. I'm just not convinced that what you have here could hold a Rottweiler. Mine's 15 years old and wouldn't, you know, because he's not gonna get out. He can hardly stand up. But if they jump up against this chicken wire, they're gonna just go straight through. And if they want to get out of this, they'll get out. That's
Even
the
with
thing
the,
that bothers me.
you feel that way even with the double strand wires of electric?
Sir, we're in the motion part of it, so he's just making a comment.
I'm just making a
okay.
statement.
I thought
just
he was asking me.
You can go ahead and have a seat.
Oh, okay.
From what I'm looking
Sorry,
at,
I didn't-
you know,
I
just
didn't-
from what I'm looking at, you know, I mean, the kennel is fine, but you're not gonna keep the dog in the kennel. I mean, he's not gonna stay in the kennel all the time, because it wouldn't be fair to the animal. I mean, really, they'd be aged up like that. But I don't know. I've given a dog up for euthanization because he chased kids. He didn't bite anybody, but I couldn't keep him in because he dug out, and he chased a kid and grabbed backpacks and coats and stuff. Never bit anybody, but I couldn't have him frightening kids to death.
That's right.
As much as I loved him, I had him put to sleep. You know, I mean, so, I mean, if you can't keep the dogs in, that's all I have to say.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Escudate?
Ben, this is a hard call. I think it's all for all of us. I say, you know, I have to take it on faith. I'm gonna give the man a chance and ask you not to support it. Thank you.
Mr. Jenkins?
You know, I wrestle with this situation myself, and I certainly do not want anyone to think, and especially you, ma'am, sitting in the audience, that I would not have concern for the safety of people in that community. But I do not believe that the dog fits the definition in a vicious animal. I just got to do what I feel is right, and sorry if it comes across wrong. I'm not weighing a dog against a human being, and especially a child, but I got to do what I feel is right. And of the many decisions that come up here, you know, when you add the human element to it this way, it makes it just that more difficult. I just do not believe that this animal fits the definition of being vicious. I believe it's a dangerous animal. I believe that this gentleman's just going to have to step it up. I think he has been taking some steps, but you're going to have to really step it up to make your premises safe. You want these dogs, you got to do the things that animal control tell you need to do. You want to try to keep these dogs because, as I said, responsibility falls with you. The dog shouldn't be smarter than you. You have to be the one that think. And I'm just simply saying, I'm a little disappointed with that aspect of this whole thing, but I'm not gonna vote to put this animal to sleep. I want you to have an opportunity to continue, try to improve your premises there, and improve yourself as an owner. I don't know how this is going to come out today. I do not want this nice lady to leave here thinking that that does not concern me, that this animal chase your child or something like that. But we can only do what we figure is the right thing to do under the circumstances right now. And that's just my comments on the motion.
Mr. Escudate?
I call for the question and the motion.
Second.
And a motion to call for the question, and second it. Vote on the call for the question first. And that passes, so we'll go to the first motion that, well, this may be another one. First motion that came through with Mr. Smith, and who was your second, Mr. Lynn? And that is to uphold the board, and a yes vote upholds the board. No vote does not. Please vote. And at this time, we have three. Motion passes to uphold the board.
President, notice of our, ask the commission to order the animal control not to destroy this dog in our 10-day period that we have to appeal to the district court.
So move.
That's already in the that's already in the ordinance, so that's not a problem. This meeting is adjourned.